Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with Q Macro. That's me, DJ, episode 65 on a beautiful Friday morning here in Manchester. Clear blue skies. On my run this morning, it was crisp and cold and still really nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I've got my coffee. In fact, I've got my coffee in my super Hands-on SAP Dev mug, off at 8 a.m. How fantastic is that? That was designed and produced by the wonderful Alex Ellis. I'll show you his swag site shortly. Yeah, good coffee. It's so good, this coffee, actually. I've almost finished it already. I try and brew up the coffee to have it ready for the live stream. And so I usually sort of make the coffee around 20 minutes before the hour. And it's already gone almost, but I've got some water as well anyway. Good. So good morning, Andrew. Well, good evening, Andrew, and good afternoon, Rahul. Good morning, Chesh. Good morning. I was just going to say good morning, good day, Helmut. Good day, moin moin to Hanover. Dennis, good morning. Beautiful clear skies here in Melbourne. Also reduced pollution. Yes, reduced pollution. Amit Gupta. Good morning. Nice little exchange we had on email there. Really good. I'm really glad you're joining the Code at Home sessions as well. Thanks for joining those. Gregor, Shavos. Wonderful to have you all here. Yeah, lovely Friday morning. Lots to share, and we're going to start. A new little project together, which is obviously the title of the episode: Custom Workflow Task UI. Okay, we'll do that, but in the true traditions of the way that we go about these things on Hands-on SAP Dev. We're going to sort of dig into things, take our time, get distracted in a nice way, and have a look at things and figure out how things work. So it may not be, we may not complete that. Well, we won't complete the task UI in this first episode, but it's a journey. We're on a journey together. Good morning, Tim. Any Blue Peter reference? You were on the garage. So the wonderful Scott Dillon and I did a garage series episode on SAP Cloud Platform, on workflow actually yesterday. That was really good. So Tim, you were on that. And I think John Astle was on that, and he also noticed a Blue Peter reference I plopped in there. Probably lost on most of the audience over in the US. But anyway, Murli, good day to you as well. Welcome. Okay, so yeah, we're ready. I think I'll turn the light on because it's a bit dark here in this corner. I'm on the back of the house where the sun's on the front in the morning, so the sun's only just coming up really. Were you or Scott able to figure out the cause? Interesting, were you on the thing as well? No, I had to go somewhere else straight after the session. I had a quick look this morning, but it's really odd. No, it's actually what was happening. Just for those who weren't on the garage session yesterday, we went through and we built a workflow together, me and Scott, and we deployed it and we created an instance of the workflow. We started an instance and we went to the My Inbox, and the My Inbox was broken. It wasn't that the custom UI was broken because, of course, if the custom UI can't be loaded, but the nice thing about the My Inbox is that it will fall back to its default display of a task for a user. But looking in the debug logs, there was a problem in the S2 view, which I think is the list view, that's sort of the master list in the old sort of scaffolding, UI5 scaffolding. Wasn't sure. I did look to see if the My Inbox app had been updated, and as far as I could tell, it hadn't. As in updated yesterday, it hadn't been. In fact, we'll have a look to see how I did that as well using a CF plugin called HTML5 list or HTML5 something or other. I can't remember what it's called actually, but we'll have a look at that as well. Good morning, Robert. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. Okay, so hey, Max. Good morning. So talking of Max, that reminds me, let me just switch to the main scene where I've got my nice little Figlet and lolcat powered greeting, which I like to do in the morning. It makes me I like to play around with that. By the way, I've changed my Tmux theme because I've just updated Chrome OS to the latest. I'm on the beta channel, so I'm now at Chrome OS 83, and the terminal mechanism has changed with lots of nice new settings. And I've lost the Powerline font, or in fact, I've lost the reference that I had to a CSS file with the Powerline fonts defined. But actually, I quite like the fonts that are available in the settings here, so I've kept those. So there you go. That's what that looks like there. But let me bring in, talking of Max. Max tweeted this morning that he's added the YouTube channel of our HandsOnSAPDev friends and family superhero, Napit. So Napit, I don't know whether you're on the chat. Oh, good morning, Domi. Good morning, and Fuad. Good morning, Ronnie. Good morning as well. Yes, please share the link for the SAP garage. Yeah, yesterday, I mean, in Manchester, we say garage, but Scott says garage, and it was like that was the hardest thing on the thing yesterday. It's like, oh, how do I say garage all the time consistently? Which I didn't. Anyway, Mahesh, good morning, Mahesh. Great to have you. Yes, I certainly will share the link, Rahul. I don't know where the link is yet, but I think it'll be published today, or I'm sure today. And I'll hit up Scott for that already. So on my screen right now, we've got the YouTube channel of our good friend Napit, who did his first live stream Git for Abapers the other day. When was it? 1 day ago, and it's already had 610 views. Massive kudos to you, Napit. So there is the channel. Go and subscribe to Napit. Let me put that in the chat there. And also, I've got it featured in my channel list as well, and Max does as well. No, 3 a.m. time wasn't great. Exactly. It's always difficult, Phil, isn't it, with different time zones and everything. I get requests to say, can you do live streams in your afternoon so we can catch it in the US? I tried some of those, but like I said before, my brain is even worse in the afternoon than it is in the morning. So we'll have to sort of carry on doing them in the mornings for now. Anyway, there's plenty more live streams. For example, Napit's doing them, and Max is doing them, and of course we've got Tom Young, and lots of other people starting to come online, which is great. Lots of really positive things coming out of this current situation, which is good, silver lining and all that. Yes, well done, Napit. Well done, Napit, indeed. Okay, so yes, this mug, Phil, I think you were asking about this, weren't you? You were asking Alex this morning, yesterday. This mug came from the Open Functions as a Service store, Alex's store. And in fact, if you buy it now, my goodness me, and I don't get any of the, this all goes to the Open FAS, engine and everything to help them. But you get my ugly mug on the mug as well. For those non-native English speakers, mug in English has many meanings. It means this. It means an idiot like me. So I'm a mug, and also it means ugly face. Get your mug out of my window. So a mug on a mug on a mug. So get that. That's a bonus. And also there is a T-shirt which I've got, but this is again a special edition T-shirt with the hands. There's a very, very handsome young man there with the HandsOnSAPDev hashtag as well. Oh my goodness me! So you've ordered, brilliant. Okay, so get your orders in there, and have some nice coffee. So Henry, good morning. And there's always the replays to watch. Exactly. Yes, you can watch the replays as well. Fantastic. Okay, so there is the OpenFAS store. There's Napit. Talking of live streams, I've got one this afternoon, Code at Home for Kids and Parents, episode 13. And I'll let you into a little secret just on this channel here, just between us. It's looking at base 2 and our next challenge. And I was saying to Max this morning, I can't remember what I intend to cover. Why are we looking at base 2 and what challenge am I going to cover? I can't remember. It's like, So I'm going to need to figure out what that is before I go live at 3:30 today, UK time. It must be related to a Project Euler challenge. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it is. We can make something up if I can't think what it is. So that's that coming today. Yeah. So Søren and some friends there. I noticed that you stayed up late after some other session and a live SAP CAP hacking session by our good friend Gregor Wolf and my good friend, who, in fact, this is coffee from Heart and Graph locally. I was proud of you, Gregor. So we had Domi and Peter and Andy and also Søren on that thing there doing some live hacking, which was awesome. So well done to them. And also Gregor tweeted, which I'll bring to your attention now. He's created, I think he's just pushed actually this, 1 hour ago. He's got a new GitHub repo with Cap mocking the S4HANA Business Partner. It reminds me of, and I'm sure it's better than, it reminds me of what I built for the Tech Ed mission last year, which was also in conjunction with the CAP team, of course. Set up a basic mock S4HANA service and then also expose it in a v4 OData and a v2 OData version via the OData 2 v2 adapter. So Gregor is exploring that. So well done, Gregor. So check out that. Did I put the thing in there? Yes, I did. Very spontaneous. Yeah. Well, so I guess the live stream was, or the live hacking was very spontaneous. A GitHub repo is not spontaneous. That's well planned and well thought out. So well done, Gregor, for the effort. And also, Gregor has mentioned that he's noticed some inconsistencies as well. So I think you've posted a question in the SAP Community Q&A. Maybe Gregor, stick the link in there so people can see where that question is. Well, let's maybe dig into that next time. I think it would be really cool to have a mocked S4HANA service to have in the back end for playing around with and for connecting to. So that's that. Again, where is it? I don't know, it's gone. Anyway, so I noticed that I mentioned this morning that this morning already. I mentioned just before that I was using an HTML5 based plugin that Max introduced me to, actually, to check on the versions of my inbox in the portal for the workflow to see if it had been updated. And how did I do that? Well, I did that using a plugin, a CF plugin. And I was looking at the GitHub repo this morning and I thought, this is a new version. And I couldn't remember how I updated and how I checked with CF to see whether any of the plugins were outdated and needed updating. So in fact, I'll do that in a minute with you. And we'll update, because I think the HTML5 plugin and the multi-apps plugin needs an update. So we'll do that. And there's the information on the Cloud Foundry site. I seem to be sharing links to the Cloud Foundry documentation on docs.cloudfoundry.org a lot, which is, I think, is a really good sign. Again, we're using open standards, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. It's fantastic. And again, for me, Cloud Foundry is the sweet spot where developers and operations meet. It's almost like the DevOps, the DevOps dial tone. I've used dial tone before, but anyway, it's. I think it's a really nice sort of layer that we can both types of people, developers and operations people, can sort of live in together. Another shirt idea from the SAP Garage: workflow at 3 a.m. AEST. Yes, workflow at 3 a.m. I think that's quite good as well. T-shirts, always good. In fact, I shared a picture of a T-shirt yesterday in an internal call from me a long time ago with an SAP logo on the belly of the Linux Penguin from the Linux Lab days. Anyway, Workflows by Night. Workflows by Night, that reminds me of one of the best albums ever, Fly By Night. In fact, I'll listen to that after this live stream. Fly By Night by Rush. Absolutely awesome album from 1975. There we go. Superb. If you haven't listened to that, go and take a listen. Brilliant. Anyway, that was a bit random. Thank you, Ronnie, for that. That's wonderful. So that's that. We'll update that in a minute. Remind me. In fact, we'll do it now because these are just links to where I wanted to go. So let me bring that down. And so here we go. We've got CF. If we do a CF, we can see it'll show us the different commands that we've got that are the plugins that I've installed offer me. And if I say CF plugins, for example, there's the CLI plugin management, CF plugins, we can see that in fact I've got, in fact, I'll use my trunk command. What's going on? CF trunk. What's going on? CF plugins. CF plugins. I'm not sure why trunk is not working. Anyway, let's leave that for now. Yeah, the album cover's awful. Awesome, not awful. Awesome. In fact, awesome and awful share the same root. Or anyway. Anyway, so we got the CF targets plugin, which I mentioned in a blog post yesterday. I'll share that in a minute. We've got the HTML5 plugin and we've got the multi-apps plugin. Now, probably all of us have got the multi-apps plugin. The HTML5 plugin I'll show you in a second, and the CF targets plugin. In fact, let me just share the link to that. Terminal.sexy. Terminal.sexy. Just so you know, I'm not looking at porn. Terminal.sexy. How awesome is that website? Anyway, terminal.sexy. I'll share that as well. Hey, Mohammed. Good day to you. Good day to you. Good day to you. Terminal.sexy. All sorts of terminal configuration goodness in there. But in fact, terminal tips. I wrote a blog post yesterday. Really, I'm trying to keep these short, these blog posts. Switching CF targets. There we go. Yeah, really cool, really cool. I'm using FZF, so have a look at that. Give it a like and everything if you fancy it, and also comment to see what you're doing as well. So what I'm doing here is saying, for example, CF targets, and I can look at this the different sort of API endpoints that I've got configured, and I'm currently connected to the workflow CodeJam target. So I'll select that again, and it'll show me what target I'm connected to, which is the one we've been using on the last few episodes of the live streams. And that uses the CF targets plugin: delete target, save target, set target, and targets, and everything like that. However, we've got this HTML5 plugin, and if we say CF HTML5 list, we can look inside, and we'll look at this in a little bit more detail later on when we understand more of the context of what this is. But if there's nothing there, right? Because I've cleaned everything out. But if I say, for example, well, what are the apps I've got in here? We've got the workflow tiles app router and the workflow tiles FLP. That's the deployer. All I've got in this particular Cloud Foundry dev space is the workflow Fury Launchpad, the Fury Launchpad for the workflow and everything like that. So in fact, let me show you, because I guess I'm setting the scene here. All I've got in this space here is the workflow tiles app router, which will give me the Fury Launchpad. And let me, while that's loading there, let me go back there. That will give me, I'll go back to the dev space here, and all I've got from a service instances point of view are the 4 services required to, did I click on that? The 4 services required to make that all happen. So we've got the workflow service itself, an instance thereof. We've got an instance of the XSUAA service, user administration access or authorization access service, whatever the A stand for, I can never remember. We've got the portal service, which of course will then support the running of the Fury Launchpad site. And we've got also, super interesting, which we'll sort of discover between ourselves over the course of the next few episodes, this HTML5 apps repo service. And we've got an instance of that service, an app runtime instance, where we can actually consume HTML5 apps, or the artifacts of those HTML5 apps. So what artifacts are we consuming? Basically, we've got some apps related in there, related to the workflow tiles app router. So if we say, show me the list of HTML5 apps with associated, something to help first of all, associated with, which is, look at the Cloud Foundry application name, which is bound to services expose UIs via HTML5 apps repo. If we give that command, workflow tiles app router, let's just clear the screen there. Come on. Oh, that's a bit. What's going on with the trunk command? Hold on, let's just have a quick look. Oh, that's what's going on with the trunk command. I've no idea why. Why is it empty? All right, well, why don't we say here, what we want to do is we want to cut characters, and we want $2 teapot coals, don't we? We want to cut from 1 to, let's put 1 in there explicitly. There we go, that's better. No idea why it was empty. What was going on? There we go, that's better. Okay, truncated. Yes, exactly. Yeah, Andrew, nice. Very sharp there in the evening. I truncated my truncation. I've no idea. I don't know. So Phil Cooley's drinking a Paxton McLaren Vale Cab Sav. Ooh, lovely, Andrew, lovely. And best album ever, Workflow by Night by the group DJ and the Developers. 80s synth pop. Yeah, I fancy a bit of 80s synth pop. Name some 80s synth pop. I mean, the band that comes to mind immediately from 80s synth pop, of course, is Depeche Mode. Awesome. Name some other 80s synth pop bands. There's Blancmange. How about Blancmange or Orange Juice? Who remembers those? Those are early 80s. Anyway, Amit, I've seen on one of Max's videos on CF Target. Yes, exactly. So Max did a really cool video on CF Target. So Max, if you're there, post a link to your video on CF Targets. And yes, an additional star for you, Amit. Nice one. So we can see, right? These are the apps that are associated with the Workflow Tiles app router. Magically, we haven't explicitly deployed any of these, but these got automatically deployed when we deployed all that stuff for the Workflow Tiles app router a while back. Okay, so we'll look over the course of the next. We'll understand hopefully over the course of the next few episodes how that works, what that is, and why that works, and what, and the difference also between the app runtime plan for the HTML5 apps repo service and the app host plan. Basically, the difference is the app runtime plan is where we want to consume apps and consume content, and the app host plan is where we want to use the HTML5 apps repo service to store stuff. Okay, for example, a custom task UI. Okay, which we'll be doing. Anyway, that's that. But it looks like if we say CF plug, what was it? Outdated. What was the thing? Oh yeah, CF plugins outdated. Searching CF community for newer versions of installed plugins. Now, the CF community, I've added the CF community plugin repo, I suppose. So I've automatically got easy access to the plugins in the CF community. And that's the main plugin community, right? There may be others, I don't know, to be honest. I have no idea what I'm doing. So it looks like these things here, and use CF install plugin to update. So CF install plugin. What do we do there? Just a plugin name. Okay, we may need the repo name, but let's just have a look. CF install plugin. What are the outdated ones? CF install plugin HTML5 plugin. Ooh, there we go. Do you want to uninstall? And yes, I do. Thank you very much. Starting download. Amazing. So that's good. And we'll also update the multi-apps plugin as well. Actually, no, we won't, because maybe it's worth, again, using the occasion of a plugin update to explore the new things. We won't explore the new things of HTML5 plugin right now, because we want to get onto the workflow thing. But yeah, did you have long hair in the late 70s? Not long, no, but I did listen to a lot of prog rock and heavy metal, of course, obviously, because that was the best music. Okay, anyway, yes, but no, Rush was like my number one band. But I was also into Jean-Michel Jarre and Kraftwerk and stuff like that as well in the 70s, and Genesis, of course. Okay, so and Pink Floyd. Anyway, plugin. DJ, come on, concentrate. Okay, so we can see, and what we saw there. CF. Let's do that again. CF HTML5 list. There we go. What we saw in the list of HTML5 applications related to Workflow Tiles app router, one of them is the cross FND Fiori inbox. Now, I'm not. Let me know if that red highlight. I'll change that color scheme if that's not working for you. But that red highlight, I'm suspecting, is not going to come across that well on the live stream. So let me know how easy it was to see that. But anyway, that cross FND Fury inbox is the collection of artifacts for the My Inbox. And if we have a look at the My Inbox app here, that's what we're talking about. And hopefully, if we look at the About cross FND, I think that stands for Foundation, Fury Inbox version 2.6.43. And if we have a look, 2.6.43, there we go. Yeah, it's quite interesting that way that all this fits together. You know, how basically I've been always asking myself, you know, where does this stuff come from? You know, you deploy the Fury Launchpad and you do all the magic with the MTA, but where is all this stuff? Where is it getting it from? It's getting it from the HTML5 apps repo, and we'll look into where and how and why it gets what. Hopefully together. Okay, thank you, Andrew. Not easy to see. Okay, I'll bear that in mind. I won't mess around with the color scheme now, but yes, that red never works very well, does it? Without red is better. Without red is better. Maybe that's another T-shirt. Without red is better. I don't know. Too many T-shirts. Hey, Napheat, we shared your channel. So everybody subscribe to Napheat's channel. It's awesome. I watched the video. It's really good. Okay, there we go. So what we want to do is, why is that still loading? Let's run again. What we want to do is basically go on a journey to create and deploy a custom UI for workflow. We've done that. We've done a UI before for workflow. I don't know whether it was a forms related thing or whether it was a real UI, but that was in the Neo environment. And this is a little bit different because, of course, it's in the Cloud Foundry environment. And things in Cloud Foundry are more microservice-y and also, therefore, a little bit more complex. Therefore, we need to understand things and how things fit together, right? That's what we do on this channel. So we'll do that together, and it's a really good starting point. And I've deliberately not prepared anything because I want to do this together and discover together with you. So the question is, okay, well, what we want to do is create a workflow definition that we can then deploy. That workflow definition doesn't have to do much apart from, have a user task in it that we can then create a custom UI for. But we also want to create that custom UI. And a really good starting point, I think, is actually available to us in the Web IDE. Now, I'm also deliberately staying with the Web IDE for now. I'm going to probably want to move to the Business Application Studio at some stage, but I'm staying with the Web IDE now because really, it's all about the same thing. We're looking at the content mainly rather than the IDE itself. So we got the new project, not from template, but project from sample application, right? And this will give us the opportunity to pick, employee onboarding extension workflow for Cloud Foundry. That's a huge mouthful. There's the one from Neo. But this sample app, okay, next, I agree, finish. This sample app called sample.onboarding.mta is a really nice combination of lots of different things for onboarding an employee. I think if you dig into it, it's got the potential to connect to a SuccessFactors instance to go and get information. There we go, get employee details from SuccessFactors, get a buddy list, and so on. Let's move this across here for a second. All sorts of different things here, and what equipment like a laptop and a mobile phone and whatever that new person, that new starter needs and everything, and what buddies they need to connect to in terms of who's going to be mentoring them or whatever it is. But the thing is, the key thing for me and for us is that this is a really good starting point for us to dig in to understand what we need to do from a Cloud Foundry workflow service perspective. The other thing, just to remind ourselves, the other thing here is the sample.workflowtiles.mta.trial, which was the thing we used to deploy the app router and the content for the Fury Launchpad there. There we go. There's the workflow, all that stuff. And there's the MTA YAML for that. So, we won't dig into that too much. There we go. So that's that. Okay, so I'll be honest, right? And tell me how you do this in the comments, in the chat. I mean, when I'm starting something new, and I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing, which is nearly all of the time. I like to start with something that I know works, and it's probably more than I need, and I like to pare it down and down and down and down and down and down until it stops working, and then sort of build up again. So I can understand where I have to get to, and I'm building on the shoulders of giants. People who've been there before, done that before, provided sample applications, and this is what I want to do with you. Is that a normal thing? I guess it is. I mean, I don't start usually with a blank piece of paper. I don't start with an empty Vim editor much in this sort of context. So that's what we're going to do here. And so the first thing I want to do is, we could even just deploy this, right? Because we've got all the tools available to us to get rid of that stuff once we've deployed it for the first time. But I think maybe what we could do is have a brief look through here and deploy it, but then, having looked at what's been deployed, we can then better understand when we start to investigate what the heck is in the MTA YAML, which is probably the most important file in this whole sample.onboarding.mta. And as you'll know, as you can imagine, it's quite big. There's a lot of stuff in there. Let me know also in the comments if this sort of thing here is a bit like, whoa, oh my goodness me, because I want to make sure that all of us don't have that reaction, okay? I've been looking at MTA YAML files now over the past few weeks, and it's like, yeah, okay, let me just have a think about that. Let me stare at that for a few minutes. Yeah, okay, I get that. I don't necessarily understand all the different values and what they mean and why they're assigned, but at least from a structural point of view and what it's trying to say, I'm less unhappy. So let me know if you have that similar reaction as well. Andrew, I prefer to tear apart something that works. Thank you. Yes, I do too. Yeah, tear apart something that works, exactly, rather than try and build it up until it works type thing. I curl into a ball in the corner, John. In fact, I started reading that sentence and I thought he was going to say, and I was going to say, respect, John. I use curl to hit the endpoints until I understand what HTTP responses I'm getting back. But you didn't. But curl up into a ball is very honest and nice. You personally prefer to build from blank slate or the most minimal template I can find. Okay, that's cool. That's also a completely valid approach. I guess maybe what we're all doing is getting to the same starting point. I'm starting maybe a little bit further back because I know I've worked with you in the past, John, and I know exactly how awesome you are, which is super awesome. But I prefer to get to that blank slate, having gone through a journey of with this blank, clear things out. Okay, now I understand where to start from. I can start building back up, but at least I've seen stuff in the background. So that's that. You go for the teardown approach. That spent longer finding bugs related to the teardown. Well, that's true. Yes, we may find some issues here, right? But also finding bugs, as we know on this channel, finding bugs is, I think, super interesting and super exciting because then we can learn from those bugs, right? Whether those bugs are of our creation or of somebody else's creation. It's okay. We're only human. We're only human, born to make. Who was that? Human League. Was it? Human League? Was that Human League? And also, Andrew, when you said I prefer to tear apart something that works, guess what group from near Manchester, from Macclesfield, actually, just south of Manchester, what group that made me think of? I prefer to tear apart something. Love will tear us apart. Anybody? My goodness me, what is this live stream turning into? By the way, it takes some time to get to the head around it, and there is still a lot to explore in it. Yes, Gregor, you've hit the nail on the head. There's a ton to explore. So I guess what I'm saying is, indirectly, I want to rejoice in taking our time looking at the MTA.YAML. Definitely. There is still a lot to explore. And the thing is, the MTA YAML is something that's not going to go away anytime soon for us, I think. So, it is definitely worth spending time on. Wow, great comments, great chat, great chat, great chat. So Chesh, hello world, the heck out of what? I can see another t-shirt. Hello world, the heck out of it. Oh, yes, I like that phrase. Yes, just do small things. What is the simplest thing that could possibly work? That's exactly the way we want to approach this as well, right? Robert, you start with a black slate or a blank slate? A blank slate, but using existing code to look what's happening. Brilliant. All sorts of different approaches. Mahesh. From scratch is the way. Inspiration will always be from the existing one. Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, I mean, maybe the distinction between starting from scratch and starting from a thing that you tear down. Actually, maybe we're saying the same thing. That we look through, we tear down, and then we end up with a clean blank slate or a clean almost blank slate. Build back up again. Joy Division, yes, Henry, you got it first. Fantastic, well done, and John as well. Joy Division, love will tear us apart. Name the band that Joy Division formed, changed into on the death of the lead singer from Manchester, of course. The Virgin Marys. Oh no, I have not heard of those for a long time. How we use books is interesting. Another complete discussion. Yes, absolutely, it is how we use books. But in fact, I did think maybe I was looking at my bookshelf this morning. Maybe I should share a book every day, saying, "Oh, here's each time. Here's a really interesting book recommended because X, Y, Z." Anyway, DJ, stop talking. Get on with stuff. Right. Okay. So what we got in here is the MTA, which we'll look at. I mean, I've no idea. Why don't we just build this and deploy it? Build with Cloud MTA, build tool. Okay. When we understand, we've done the previous live stream sessions on the build tool, the new MBT build, which is what this is using, versus the what does it say? Deprecated one, build deprecated, and that the deprecated one is the Java build tool. New order, Tim. Yes, I knew you'd get that. Of course, home advantage, Heimvorteil, as they say in Germany. Yes, new order, fantastic. There we go. And yes, the Joy Division were from Macclesfield. Yeah, I said that already, didn't I? Build deprecated. Is it built? Come on, building. There's a lot to build here. There's a lot of stuff going on. As you can see, there's things that's going on here. We've got some deprecations here from NPM, but look at this. We've got all this sort of stuff here, which is to do with Grunt, and because there's a lot of UI5 stuff in here. I noticed a little heart there. Okay, there we go. My goodness me. Okay, now we're getting to the end. Adding MTA archive, sample onboarding MTA, MTAR, right? So why don't we just deploy that? Let's just close our eyes, build it, and then also deploy it. So it's now created. It should have created an MTA archives folder. I said folder, directory, and deploy it. Deploy to SAP Cloud Platform. Now, before we deploy it, actually, I also like to see what we've got so we can see the difference and say, oh yeah, that's appeared now and that's appeared now. So why don't we say CF, what are the services? Oh dear, CF trunk. There we go. So we've got the portal. So we've got the 4 services related to the portal site on the portal, the FLP site, sorry, on the portal for the workflow tiles or the workflow apps, the My Inbox and the workflow definition. Okay, and we got the authorization service as well, and we got the runtime where all that stuff is, right? We've just had a look at. From an apps perspective, we've got just the app router, which is basically the way into the Fiori Launchpad site, and then we got the workflow tiles FLP, which was that task that loaded that stuff in, right? So we've got that. So now if we do also CF MTAs, we can use our MTA plugin, our multi-apps plugin, to have a look what multi-target apps we've got in this dev space, okay? And I think the only one that we should have is the one that we saw in the other one that we saw in my IDE, the sample workflow tiles MTA trial, which I think is correct. Yeah, sample workflow tiles MTA trial. Okay, so now if we deploy that, I'll just deploy it down. Yeah, I'll deploy it up here. I'll deploy it. MTA YAML, deploy, blah, 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 cloud platform. Choose the endpoint, come on. EU10, that's the one. And yeah, that's the only organization and space that's in there that I'm connected to here in the web IDE. So that's cool. 839, my God, yes. There we go. So we're deploying. Now, we can also, using the MTA plugins, CF plugins, what's it called again? The multi-apps plugin. We've got the MTA ops, CF MTA ops. We can see what is going on, or at least we can see. Okay, the deployment is still uploading that tarball, or that mtar file. I don't even know. Can you see from the web IDE? Can you see how big something is? I mean, service operation failed. Of course, perfect. I don't know how you can see how big it is, but it probably isn't that big. It wasn't a thing. It was just failing, right? Now, let's have a look. This is exciting. I've got an idea of why it's failed, right? And I think you've also got why do you think? Put in the chat. Why do you think it's failed? And it relates to something that Gregor said. So we got here. Let's look at let's sort of enjoy the error or the messages here. Preparing to deploy, blah blah blah. Right, here we go. Starting deployment. Deploying in that. Okay, fine. Detected new MTA version 0.0.1. That comes from the MTA YAML itself, right? No deployed MTA detected. This is initial deployment. So in fact, if we go down here and do that again, there we go. We've got CF MTA ops arted by. So we've got an operation CDD 0 something type deploy. It's a deployment operation. The ID of the MTA that's being deployed is what we're trying to deploy, sample.onboarding.mta, and what status is it in? Error. Okay, and it was started by me, QMacro plus workflow code jam. And in fact, CF MTAs, will that tell us now? Will that give us only the MTAs that have been deployed properly, or the ones that are in error as well? Let's have a look. There we go. Sample onboarding MTA. That was the one that was deployed yesterday or whenever it was earlier this week to get the thing there. This is the one we're deploying. So that's quite cool. We can also see, and it tells us in the let's bring that back up again. Actually, it tells us there. We can also see the process logs. So let's have a look at this first and see if we can sort of guess. Right. Max, wrong workflow service reference. Yes, Max, you got it. Exactly. So let's have a look at these logs and sort of enjoy them. So processing service sample onboarding HTML5 repo host. Creating service sample onboarding HTML5 repo host from blah, blah, blah. Processing service workflow sample onboarding. Creating service workflow sample onboarding, right? Service operation failed. Updating service workflow sample onboarding not found. Error creating service from offering and plan standard. Service plan not found. Now, let's have a look. Let's read that again slowly, because I think I read that a bit too fast, didn't I? Service operation failed. I'm reading this line here. Service operation failed. Controller operation failed. Okay, lots of failures. 404. Interesting. 404, not found. Updating service workflow sample onboarding failed, not found. Error creating service workflow sample onboarding from offering workflow and plan standard. Service plan standard not found. Now the last bit is super easy, right? We know what service plan is. The service plan is basically, the plan that describes the type of instance you create of a service. Service plan standard not found. In our workflow service, let's have a look at the workflow service. The service plans available to me with this ID right now are light or light. There's only one plan. So the standard plan is not there. So I we can guess that the thing here, the new project from sample application, was there an extension onboarding for trial? Is the workflow applications for trial? No, there isn't. Okay, so we've got to modify that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this is probably intended for a more productive style deployment target, but that's cool. Okay, we've learned something. So let's have a look to see what Max is referring to, right? So we've got this workflow sample onboarding. Let's start now having a look at the MTA YAML. By the way, I'm sort of conscious. Let me just get rid of that. I'm sort of conscious that let's just make sure I'm looking at the right YAML. Let's close all and open it again. I'm conscious that some of the time the titles of the episodes that I put on, like for example, HandsOnSAPDev episode 65, custom workflow. What's it? I don't even know what the title is. Custom workflow task UI, right? We've not even got to the task UI. Is it a really bad thing that I put a title on there and we don't necessarily, in that first episode, reach that end goal? I have to put some sort of title of where I want to get to, but sometimes we don't get there in the first go. Let me know if that really annoys you. I don't know what I can do about it, but I just feel a little bit guilty about it. We go off in a lot of detail and never get to where we want to get to. Or sometimes we do that. Please tell me. A bit more coffee. So we got here, there's that version 0.0.1. That's where that comes from, right? 0.0.1. Now we've got, let's collapse everything that we can see. So we got the modules section and the resources section. Okay, so generally an MTA file will have some sort of preamble here, like the front matter type thing, I call it. We'll ignore that for now. The two main parts to an MTA YAML, and notice we're looking at that in the code editor, not the MTA editor. Let's have a look at the MTA editor to see what the MTA editor does for us, right? It also splits it up into, well, the front matter, the basic information, right there, and the modules and the resources. But I prefer to look at it in the code editor because code, and I feel more comfortable and more, I feel it's more straightforward. Okay, yes, thank you, Henry. It is like real life, exactly. Der Weg ist das Ziel, exactly. Exactly. The journey is an end in itself. Thank you, Gregor, for confirming. I think the only reason why people turn up is to get new ideas for T-shirt phrases. Exactly. Nobody cares about the episode title or the episode content either. We are journeying together. It isn't false advertising. Okay, thank you, folks. I do feel better. All fine as long as there is enough coffee. Okay, I'll make some more in a minute. And in fact, I'm almost out of this Heart and Graft lot, so I'm going to move on to the next lot that Gregor sent from Beruli. The Bavarese, not the Bavarese, the other one. Anyway, okay, so we got two main sections, modules and resources. Modules are the things that we're deploying. That's the whole point of the MTA. But the resources are just as important because the resources are the things that the modules depend upon, right? So let's look at the modules. We've got the UI deployer module, which is super interesting, and it's also related to the HTML5 list that we were looking at before, the HTML5 apps repo service. UI deployer is actually the name of, or the standard name that people give to a module that uses a special SAP NPM module for deploying stuff into an HTML5 app repo service instance, an app host service instance, right? In fact, if we look at there it is, UI deployer. All that's in there, just like the app router folder of in another project, all that's in there is a package.json that brings in this dependency. Instead of bringing in the SAP app router dependency, it brings in the SAP app deployer. I always think of app destroyer, I don't know why, but HTML5 app deployer. And then all it does is say, right, start it, go, go, go. Okay, so we'll look into that a bit more, right? Because that's what that does. And it finds things in a certain directory. By default, I think it's resources, and it squirts them into an app host instance of the HTML5 apps repo. Magic! And that's where our custom UI, our custom task UI is going to go. But anyway, that's that. There's the UI deployer or the UI destroyer. And we've got the onboarding. Okay, we'll just look at the details in a minute. Accept workplace, approve equipment, confirm equipment. My goodness me, 5 different modules, and they all rely on how many resources? That one, and that's it. Okay, so they're relying on workflow sample onboarding, which is an existing workflow service, managed service. Sorry, not an existing one, a non-existing one. Please create it if it doesn't exist. That's what managed service means. And of course, if it's please create it if it doesn't exist, we need to give it what the service should be. It should be an instance of what the instance should be. It should be an instance of the service workflow with the service plan standard. Okay, so this is where that error came from. Okay, we've got the workflow sample onboarding, right, which is should be the name of the workflow instance, and that also, if we have a look a bit further up, that should be the name that's being referred to by the modules. I rely on workflow sample onboarding. So there's an issue there. And that's the issue that's causing the failure of the deployment. What is this one here? Let's close that one up. We'll come back to that in a second. Sample onboarding HTML5 repo host. And there is what we've just been talking about. The wine is out, Andrew. The wine is out. How can you run out of wine? I mean, okay, I ran out of coffee, so maybe I shouldn't be accusing you of running out of wine. We are journeying together, so go and get some more wine. So this one is, again, please create this if it doesn't exist type thing, manage service. And what is this? This is the HTML5 apps repo service. Do we all know what the HTML5 apps repo service looks like? Here we go. Let's have a look at it. EFGH, HTML5 application repository. And I've been talking about there's two separate plans available to us, also in the trial. At runtime, use this service plan to consume HTML5 applications stored already in the repository, right? So basically, we need an at runtime instance of the HTML5 app repo service in order that the Fiori Launchpad portal can consume apps like the Cross Foundation universal inbox, right? That's the HTML5 app that's consumed there, for example, as well as the workflow monitor. That's another app that's also in that repo to be consumed. But there's also the app host plan, uses service plan to deploy, not consume, but deploy HTML5 applications to the repository, right? So if we want to store stuff for eventual consumption, we need a plan which is app host. I always think of these as sort of like, this is like the read-only plan, and this is like the read-write plan, or the write plan. Does that make sense? You only ration the glass by yourself or by somebody else? That's the question. How big is the glass though? That is tough. Yes. Yeah. Oh well, no, rationing is good. Sometimes. So there we go. So what we're saying here is HTML5 apps repo. We want an app host service plan instance of that. Okay. So let's go back to the log and refresh our memory of what it said. Processing service sample onboarding HTML5 repo host. That, right, is that one there, right? Sample onboarding HTML5 repo host. Now let's go to the services. Have we got? If we look at the services now, if we go to dev, there we go. There's our service instances, and look, lo and behold, we now have sample onboarding HTML5 repo. Let's make that a bit smaller so we can see it. Repo host, exactly the name that's been requested by the resources section there. Okay, there's no applications bound to it yet because, of course, the deployment sort of failed halfway through. What is it? It's a instance of the HTML5 apps repo service with plan app host, which is exactly what was asked for here. Okay, so that worked. Okay, that one worked, right? Creating, where is it? Creating, and then it says processing service workflow sample onboarding. And that one didn't work because we don't have the service plan standard, which is what is being asked for here. So that's okay though, because we've already got a workflow instance here, okay, which is already bound, which we've already got the app router bound to, and the FLP loader task is bound to that as well. So we might as well use that same workflow instance, okay. So if you want to use an existing instance, I think we've sort of covered this indirectly, at least in previous episodes. We can say, well, we don't want to create a new workflow instance. We'll use an existing one. Existing service, right? And because it's existing, we don't need to give it parameters on how to create it. So let's get rid of those. And also, what is it called? It's called workflow. Okay, I've decided to call the instance the same as the service. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. So it's called, and this name has to sort of tie up. What I've found is that when you generate things and when things are auto inserted into the MTA file for you on the basis of an action in the web IDE, like a wizard action, it will take the name of what you want to create and then add the name of the module or the name of the project to the end of it to make it like, unique. What else could it do? It's fine. But the name of our instance is just workflow, not workflow sample onboarding. So let's get rid of that as well. Okay, so that's what we want from a resource perspective. We want to say, these are the two resources it relies upon. However, of course, I think we had this sort of issue before. If we, hello, a cup of tea, please. Tea, please, Bob. If we have that change, of course, there's references in the modules. These modules rely on these resources, so we just change the name of the resource. So of course, we've got to go through here and make sure that name change is reflected. So does the UI deployer require that? No, it doesn't. The UI deployer requires this sample onboarding HTML5 repo host instance that we've already successfully created. So that's good. Does the onboarding require it? Yes, it does. Okay, this is delivering content, right, into com.sap.application content. I don't even understand properly why it's called that, where that's from, but of course it tells us that it's content delivery related, right? And look, content target equals true, as in deliver content to this thing. From an English perspective, that's what it means. But how does it work? I don't know yet, but we'll find out. But instead of workflow sample, whatever it was, I just deleted sample onboarding, it requires the workflow resource. Okay, so we've changed the name there. Let's just double check if it requires anything. Accept workplace. This is type HTML. That's not going to require anything. And we can also tell here from experience that the approve equipment and confirm equipment, they sound like sort of user task things, and in fact they are. Approve equipment, accept workplace, and confirm equipment. They're all web apps. They're all custom UIs. Okay, web app, web app, web app. Okay, so these web app modules are all the same. They're not going to require the workflow, the reference to the workflow resource. So I think we've changed everything we need to change. Okay, so in the last 3 minutes, let's build that again. There, build, and try again. She who must be obeyed. There was in the 70s. There was a brilliant series called Minder, which is like a TV cop series in the 70s though in the UK, and the main character Arthur Daly, he used to refer to his wife as her indoors, which I always thought was quite nice, quite funny. Too many acronyms. Oh gosh, Andrew, SM. Oh, I see. SWMBO. Yes. Okay. So build has been successful. So now let's try and deploy it again. In fact, why don't we clear the console and deploy it now and see what happens. When I think about it, the indoors is a very 1970s thing to say, isn't it? Anyway, that was his character, I guess. Deployment in progress. Okay, deploying. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I think, did I copy? Yes. In the logs that I just deleted in the console, there was this command here saying cfdmol -i, downloading logs of multi-type application. Okay. So cfdmol is short for what's it called? Download MTA operation logs, or DMOL, right? And that will allow us to look at the detailed logs of the deployment operation, the one that failed, for example, the previous one that failed, the one that just kicked off is still running, right? So let's have a look what we get when we do that. We just did a cfdmol, and we get in here a nice MTA operation. This operation CDD0. In fact, didn't we see that CDD0 earlier? Yes, there we go, there. I'll just highlight it very briefly in red there. CDD0 was the operation when we did CF MTA ops. Okay, so that's the operation ID, which is really cool. Thank you very much. And in there, we got the operation log. Let's have a look at that. If we go down here, let's go to the bottom and work upwards. Can we see anything exciting? Process logger, standard. Do I Yeah, there we go. Like error creating service, workflow, sample onboarding from offering and plan standard. Okay, we can dig into that a little bit more next time, or you can dig into that. There we go. Let's get rid of that. That's cool. Now let's have a look to see. Is it? Oh, it's still deploying. That's good. Now, one of the things that I've noticed in more recent versions or iterations of the Web IDE is that the console sort of buffers all of the logging that's going on and all of the activity that's going on that's being logged, so we don't get the output until the end. So I wonder if we can actually see it in here. So that's what we've got here. We've got the CF MTA ops. What are the operations that are going on right now? It's running. Okay. I suppose we can we log, can we track or tail the logs of an MTA operation from here? I don't even know. Amongst others, com.sap.application.content, amongst others. What do you mean there, Max? I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's something I said. It's 9 o'clock already. Okay, well, let's wait for this deployment to finish, and then we'll finish the live stream. Come on, it's still going. But can anybody figure out how we tail, rather than download? I don't want to download it. I want to tail it, as in I want to sort of have a live update in the terminal. It must be possible, right? MTA, download MTA ops. Let's have a look. Demol help. Oh, it's finished. And there we go. It's finished. And it's been successful. See, it buffered all that up. All of that has only just appeared. Okay, so let's have a quick look at that before we finish. That's what we saw before. Processing service. That. Okay, it already processed that. That already exists. That's cool. And then it got to the creating application, UI deployer. It ran the UI deployer, and then it created this workflow service key for the workflow there, and that's it. So now, CF MTA ops, that should show us nothing now. Yeah, there's no operations going on. CF MTAs, that should show us now 2 MTAs. That should show us the original one with the workflow tiles, the app router and everything, but also the one we just deployed. Come on. Sample onboarding MTA. CFA, look at the applications. We've got the UI deployer, which was what we've just used, and notice it's in a stopped status because it's done its work. It's deployed stuff. To the sample onboarding HTML5 repo host service, which is an app host version of the HTML5 apps repo service. And as you can see here, the UI deployer is still bound to it. It's done its work, but it's still bound to it. Okay. So if we can say now CF HTML5 list, come on, what's it going to tell us? It was empty before, but now there are 3 things in there. ComSAP Cloud Workflow Samples on Board accept, ComSAP Cloud Workflow Samples on Board approve, ComSAP Cloud Workflow Clouds equip. And funnily enough, those relate directly to accept, approve, confirm. Those are those things there. There's slightly different names in the thing. Accept workplace, approve equipment, confirm equipment. So there we go. We've now got content in our HTML5 apps repo service of Plan App Host. How did it get there? How did it work? What is it? We'll find out next time. Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you very soon. Okay, bye for now.